Hi, I'm Vinny Corbo. I'm an artist and producer here in Los Angeles, and today I'm going to tell you why I'm obsessed with girli. Two things I'm going to cover in this short video that I think you might find relatable and hopefully useful is one, why I think girli is an artistic, musical, and marketing genius, and two, just because somebody is younger than you doesn't mean you can't learn from them. And I have learned quite a bit from girli. So today I'm going to also share with you my experience of going to her recent concert here in Los Angeles and the things that happened and the things that I learned just by going to the concert. I wanted to mention that I waited a while before making this video because I really wanted to process what I experienced and what I learned at the girli show and be able to relate it to everyone clearly and respectfully. But first, let's talk about why I'm obsessed with girli. I first discovered girli around, 2017, 2018 from the video Hot Mess. And the first thing that caught my eye was the pink. And anybody who knows me, I'm all about the pink. I have, oh my God, everything is pink. Pink note paper, my pick case, pink sparkles, my hairbrush is pink. Even you go back to my first album, which came out in 1986, pink and black. I love those combinations. Tour shirts, woo, pink and black. So I saw girli and the pink, and so I go, I got to click on this. And when I heard the song Hot Mess, I was just blown away. And I'm going to explain a couple reasons why. First, she doesn't disguise her accent, sings straight out in her normal accent. And also, she sings in two registers, which is kind of rare. You know, the obviously low and high register. I can do it, and there's a few other people that I know that do it, but most singers just sing in one register because that's where they're comfortable. So that also struck me. So the chords for Hot Mess are C minor, E flat, and F. Three chords, cyclical phrase, pretty basic chord progression. But where it gets really interesting, actually brilliant, is what girli does with the melody line. When she starts the song, she's in the lower register, and she's singing a C, a low C, which is the root of the C minor chord. That's an obvious thing to do. That's what almost all singers do. They sing the root of a chord. You know, occasionally sing other notes of the chord, but most of the time it's the root or the third. But when she sings the verse, she jumps up an octave and sings a staccato G, basically staccato G eighth notes. I wrote out the sheet music here so you could see exactly what I'm talking about and get a good visualization of what's occurring. So the first part of the verse, instead of singing the root on a C, she sings a G, which is the fifth of the chord, which is never done. That's almost hardly ever done. I don't think I've heard anybody do it. So I was really shocked and blown away when I heard girli do it. And the reason why is that the fifth of a chord, you have a root, third, and fifth, three-note chord, generally wants to resolve back to the root. So if you had a three-chord progression in like G, it wants to go back to G. So that fifth wants to resolve itself. So when she sings the G, she's already putting you in a place of tension that's looking for some kind of resolution, and she doesn't give it to you. She keeps you in that sort of agitated state, which makes that song have so much like energy and urgency. It really is absolutely brilliant. So again, it's just eighth note staccato on the G. Walk into the room. And then for the second part of the verse, she'll actually walk down the scale to the D and to the G, the lower G. So she never actually resolves, even though it feels like she's moving or maybe moving to something that resolves. So it goes like this. Skated here, I'm sweaty, had a good day, how about you? So the whole thing. And it's still on the G. So she's keeping you in that hyper state of not resolving. Now, what's going on, though, with the chord changes. Remember I said it's C minor, E flat, and F. So by the time she gets to that, had a good day, how about you? She is on the F, okay? But what what is the fifth of F? It's a C. So now she's still, it's so good. She's still on the fifth of the chord that happens to be playing at that time. Is it something that she just happened to come up with and sing, or did she consciously set out to do this? Because it's so clever, and I really haven't heard too many people do something like this. So, impressed. So when the chorus hits, it's still the same three chords: C minor, E flat, and F. Usually when you go to a chorus, the chord progression would change. But what she does is she changes. Whoa, right? So it's the chords stay the same, the bass line stays the same, she changes. Now she's switched to basically a general G minor scale. So it's so smart. So I think about, how did she do this? How did she come up with this? Now, I know she went to some kind of music and art school. Maybe she learned, this kind of technique there. Maybe she came up on her own. Maybe she fell on it by accident. But what I think happens is that she starts with basic chords on a guitar or maybe on a piano, and she works out these melodies, brilliant, amazing melodies to those chord changes. But when you hear the song that she's recorded, she's often not giving you those chords. She's just giving you a bass line. Sometimes it's only one note, and she's singing all these crazy melodies over that note. So for Hot Mess, it's just this simple bass line. And that's, again, C to the E flat, which is, again, the root of a chord, but it's just basically a bass groove that fits within the C minor chord of the C minor progression. And that's all she gives you. She doesn't give you that full C minor to E flat, all the fullness of the chords. It's just this low, single, very stark bass note with a drum groove, but she's just all over the place. And I don't think you can just write that without, having the chords to work with. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody out there knows something that I don't, please tell me, because it's so fascinating. But to to work on something, to build it, and slowly strip away the background or the things that helped you get there, that you now have this very, very contrasting lines going on at the same time is just absolutely brilliant. So that got me started on, okay, I got to find out more about this artist. So, of course, after falling in love with this song, when Odd One Out hit, I had to have it. So I got the album, I got the CD. Still haven't opened it because you don't need to, because, you could stream it. But I had to own it. And, of course, I had to send away for it because it wasn't released in America, only in England. So that was a pain, but I got it. Over the next couple of years, she released a lot of singles, and maybe you can call them EPs, but smaller releases and in digital format only. And when More Than a Friend dropped, whatever you want to say, I said to my wife, this is it. This is the hit. This is the one that's going to just blow her up. She's going to be, the biggest thing ever. This is the perfect song. It's just incredible, catchy and beautiful and honest. And how could you not love that song? And it did well. I mean, I think it definitely put her on the map. It gave her quite a few, views and everything and followers. But it didn't blow up like I thought it would, especially in America. I really thought it was going to be giant, and my secret little, artist that I liked, all to myself, was going to be now belonging to the entire world. And if she does become a huge star, she deserves it. She's phenomenal, and she's worked really hard, and she writes excellent material, so she absolutely deserves it. My favorite song is Dysmorphia. I think it's a masterpiece. I think the melody is just overwhelming. It's so good. The topic is excellent. Great for anybody, because we've all gone through periods where we don't feel good about ourselves, or we want to be something more than or different than what we're not. And she really nails it. It's such a good song. Again, another perfect song. All the releases after Odd One Out were digital, download only or streaming. Until recently, she's released her new album, Matriarchy, and this is fantastic. I mean, first off, it's so, the artwork is so beautiful. It's so amazing. Of course, I got a signed one, and I also had a send away for this as well. But it's an amazing looking record. It it does the whole slide thing, and there's a gate fold, boom, and yeah, it's just fantastic. And what's so great about this record is it represents an evolution of maturity for Girly. The other stuff, I love every part of it. This one hits a whole new level. It's just more mature. And songs like Nothing Hurts Like a Girl, it captures something I've never heard in a song quite like that before. It opens your eyes to something maybe you haven't thought about. I'm definitely a pain in the ass when it comes to Girly, to friends, especially my friends in the LGBTQ plus community, because I feel like listening to Girly is compulsory. Like, you have to hear this song. You have to hear Nothing Hurts Like a Girl. My wife loves her too, so we are basically her unpaid American PR team, because if we tell everybody about Girly, like, you just have to hear this. Girly is also responsible for turning me on to some music that I had never heard of before. During COVID, all of our tours got canceled, mine, hers, and she came up with the idea of doing like a video interviews. And again, brilliant marketing, brilliant, smart. I didn't think of it, she did. And I watched them, they were great. And I got introduced to several artists that I had never heard of before, but actually really liked, especially Nova Twins. Girly introduced me to Nova Twins, and now I am a huge Nova Twins fan. I basically bought everything I could get my hands on from them. Great. And again, thanks to Girly, I know who Nova Twins are. When Girly came to the U.S. for the first time, for her first U.S. tour, I was dying to go, but I couldn't make it to the show because I had a show of my own that night. And mine was actually out of town, so there was absolutely no way for me to make it work. So I had to miss it. But I did get to watch her video blog of her first experience in America, which I thought was great. Plus, she had this really cool pink and black jacket that I want that jacket. It's so cool. When Girly came back to the United States for her second U.S. tour, I was super excited, and I was not going to miss this show. And another cool thing she did is, since, for the ones of us who are on her mailing list, she said, hey, the tickets are going to go on sale like at noon on such and such a day. And I'll send you a code right beforehand so you could get a discount. So, I have the web browser up and I'm all ready to buy, tickets for my wife and I. And, noon hits and boom, they come up. So I put in the code, bloop, $25. The tickets went down to $25, and I'm like, thank you, Girly. Oh my God, that's amazing. So affordable. A lot more people are going to be able to come see you at that price. That is just the coolest. It's so cool. Now, my wife and I are both short, and when there's these general admission shows, we have difficulty seeing. At L7, all we saw was the back of people's necks. You can hear the band, but you just can't see a thing. Ash Nico, we were up on a ledge. That was pretty cool. We were able to see a little bit better. But the Troubadour, I know well. I played the Troubadour myself several times, and I know no one's, it's going to be really hard to see. So we called in a favor to someone at the Troubadour, and they did hook us up, and they hooked us up big time. We actually got put into the balcony, which only has a little bit of seating up there, and you have a bird's eye view of everything. It's some of the best in the house. So we were ecstatic. They even put our names on the seat, which was kind of cool. So thank you, Troubadour, for many, many years of quality entertainment and for always being awesome every time we either play there or go there to see a show. Before the show, we went to a vegan restaurant up the street, and my wife wanted to stay and just hang out so we could miss the opening act, because oftentimes the opening act are kind of lousy, or we're just not into it, or they're loud and it burns out your ears, so you don't have much hearing stamina left to really listen carefully later. So she wanted to just, stay back at the vegan restaurant and hang. But I watched a whole bunch of videos and things from Tilly, because when I found out, Tilly's the opening act, let me find out what that's about. And I said to her, I really want to see Tilly. I really liked what I heard. I liked what I saw. I really want to see her act. So I won that argument, if you want to call it an argument, and we went for the opening act, which means we got there extra early and got to see people setting up. Before I get to that, I will tell you, Tilly was awesome. Just a fantastic performer, excellent songs, excellent stage presence, spoke to the audience very honestly and eloquently. Really the perfect act to open for Girly. So we had a great time, and my wife is now a huge Tilly fan. Again, Girly turning us on to more cool music. Also, Tilly's drummer, Jared, was excellent. Great drummer. We enjoyed him as well. So there was a couple surprising things about the Girly Los Angeles show, things that I wasn't prepared for. And the first one was that I was the only cisgender male in the entire building. I'm sure of it. I figured she was going to have a large LGBTQ plus audience, which is great. Love to party with those guys. But I was like, where are the musicians? Where are all the other, music nerds? Where are the people that are hearing what I'm hearing, like who dig her music? Like, where are they? I understand she's drawing an audience because of her message, which is a great message, very strong, powerful, inclusive, beautiful message. I love it. But I also love her music. And where in the world were the musicians? So that was a little bit disappointing. The next thing I noticed is everyone on her team was female. Everyone. And her drummer, Chloe, carried and set up her own kit. You could say that's not unusual, but in my world, when I'd be on tour and there would be any female, especially drummers, either they had backline, it was set up for them when they got there, or they had a roadie, or somebody there helping them set this up. And to just see Chloe come out there like, out of my way, I'm setting up my drums, was just a new experience for me, and I really liked it. I thought it was cool. She was handled it like a boss. I was just impressed. The other person I saw was a woman walking around with a fanny pack, and she was basically in charge of handling things, and she had her hands on all the dials. I saw this woman, like, she seemed to be everywhere all at once. It was pretty incredible. And I even pointed her out to my wife, and I said, that's who I need on the road with me, someone who's taking care of all that stuff, because usually it's me. I have to do a lot of things. Not that the other musicians don't help out, and they're not really hired to do the extra stuff that's required in putting on a show. And this woman just had it all over the place, and I was very, very impressed. Girly also had 2 photographers and someone running the computer and singing backups. So the whole team was female, and this is the other thing, lightning bolt, that I learned. Another thing I learned from Girly. By nature, I'm a helper. I like to help people. So wherever I am, what do you need? Hey, people call me up, computer problem, happy to help. Setting up sound, something's wrong, happy to jump in and help. Something's heavy, here, let me help you carry it. I love holding the door for people. I'm just that kind of person. And so by default, I'm just looking around, seeing if anybody would need my help for anything, because I'm just sitting there doing nothing. So if there was any kind of problem or people were having difficulty, I'd be happy to come down and help out. And what struck me is they don't need your help. They got it. They don't need your help at all. And that made me pause, because 2 things happened. It made me realize maybe I am a little prejudiced, thinking that females can't do this all by themselves. There's always going to have to be some male somewhere making this happen. And that was a big, big, big eye-opener. And I'm glad I saw that. And I'm glad I learned this new thing because it was wild and very, very impressive. And thank you, Girly, again, for just educating me and helping me evolve. And that's really what this is all about. Next, I noticed the woman with the fanny pack and maybe a couple others were decorating the stage. They were putting flowers around, flowers on the microphone stand, and they were also putting framed pictures on the front of the stage. And I'm thinking to myself, are you guys nuts? Do you know how dangerous that is? You know, at my show, I've had everything under the sun thrown at me. And that's by people who like me. Some didn't, but most of the time people like you and they'll still throw stuff at you. So let's put sharp, pointy things on the front of the stage that people could grab and throw. To my surprise, Girly's audience was very gentle, kind, accommodating. I'm used to a bunch of, maniacs who don't know how to behave. And this was a completely different crowd. I was almost like, this is my people. I want to hang with these people. I want to be here with people who really want to enjoy a good show and have respect for the stuff that, the artist has put out for them to enjoy. Nobody stole anything. Nobody stole any of the pictures. That's fantastic. They're not your pictures. Don't take them. But, people do take things. Perhaps it was the absence of cisgender, macho male energy that you often see at a live show that can certainly ruin the experience. But I also think that Girly has cultivated a kinder, gentler, more evolved audience. And that was really wonderful to be a part of. And I felt very lucky in that moment that I was there and I got to see something as amazing as that. So going back to what I said about having an open mind, realizing you don't know everything, it allows you to evolve. In that night, in just 2 lessons, I evolved, and it was amazing. And there's more to come. Hang on a little bit longer with me. The show itself was phenomenal. There have been so many times that I've heard Girly songs and wished there was, live real drums on them. But I also understand what she's going for, and she's going for a more electronic sound, so the electronic drums make sense. But at this show, she had a live drummer. Her name was Chloe. She was fantastic. And I had always wanted to hear I Really Fucked It Up This Time with real drums. And I've often played that song myself on the drums. Like I put on the headphones and crank it up and play drums to that song. It's such a great song to jam to. And just to see it happen in front of me was great. Did I sing along with Hot Mess? You bet your ass I did. That was awesome. I hoped she would do it. And I also hope for Dysmorphia, but she has such a large catalog now, she can't do everything. But she played all the greats, and it was a great night of songs. So just having herself, a drummer, a girl running computer, and singing backup, she put on one of the best shows my wife and I have ever seen. 3 people and a crew. And that really says something about the talent and the abilities of these women. It was just amazing. Okay, so I've saved the biggest lesson for last. Also, it's the last thing that happened in the night. So when the concert was over, the kids all started lining up to get merch. And I say kids because we're at least 30, maybe more years older than the oldest person there, which again, I only attribute it to older people being closed-minded and not wanting to enjoy something this great, and it's their freaking loss. But for some of these attendees, this seemed like it might have even been their first concert ever. So, let them get their merch first, and if there's anything left over, then we'll go in. Like, we've been to a billion concerts. We've had this experience. Let them have it. And the cool thing about that is my wife got to meet Chloe and get her picture taken with Chloe, so that was pretty cool. So when it was over, and it was about an hour going through the line, maybe not quite as long, but close to it. The first table you get to is Tilly's table, and she was there, signing things and selling stuff herself. So we were the last people in line for her. And somehow Tilly found out my wife is a therapist. And so they started talking about therapy and all of that. And the conversation got a little bit longer than probably would normally go. And in that time period, the girly table had closed down because they had their last customer and we didn't get to go over there. So when we went over to the girly table, they had already packed everything up in suitcases. They had the T-shirts and everything in suitcases. And I went, note to self, that's actually a good way to carry your merch. So I thought, oh, crap, we're not going to be able to get a shirt. And the woman closest to me at the table was drop dead gorgeous. I mean, thunderbolt beautiful. And, in Los Angeles, you see someone like that and you go, oh, well, they're a model or, television actor, movie star, something. And I thought, okay, there is no way we're getting a shirt now, because usually when someone is that attractive, they don't make time for you or anything, especially here in Los Angeles. It's just the way that it is. So we didn't even expect her to tell us, like, fuck off. We just expected her to ignore us, take the cases and go, like pretend like we didn't exist, because that's what we're used to. But instead, she said, oh, did you guys want to get shirts? And I said, yes. And she's like, okay. And just opened everything all back up again. And then I realized in that moment that this woman was the woman with the fanny pack that was running everything. And I couldn't see from the stage because I just saw, a person moving around. I couldn't see her face or really what she looked like, but in person, striking. And she couldn't have been nicer. She was so nice, so sweet, so accommodating. We were able to buy shirts. She was very attentive about making sure we got the right sizes and all that. She asked me something about girly. We got talking about it a little bit, and I mentioned that I had discovered her back with Hot Mess, and I bought Odd One Out, and she was kind of surprised and maybe impressed on her side, like, wow, you've really liked her for a long time. I said, yeah, this has been a great night. And so the lesson I learned, again, about prejudging someone, I prejudged this person that she was going to be difficult or not give us the time of day as we were accustomed to. I should have given her the benefit of the doubt. Nothing happened, but I should have said, well, maybe she's nice. I should have just thought that, but I was prepared for something else. So another big lesson learned from girly. So it turns out the woman with the fanny pack, her name is Atiqua, and she goes by Teeks for short. She's on Instagram. I'm sure you could find her. Really cool. And apparently, does this kind of work for multiple bands. And again, that's something really great about girly. She's a brilliant artist, marketing, all of that. But she also surrounds herself with good people. And that's just another wonderful thing about her. I think in the grand scheme of things, girly is very necessary. She's necessary for the LGBTQ plus community, and for those of us in the cisgender community to understand it better. Her message is educational and lifestyle affirming, and she's really, really good at it. So thank you to Girly, Teeks, the whole crew for showing us one of the best concerts and the best evenings we've ever had in our lives. And Girly, if you ever want to do something with a horn section, Madonna's done it, Christina Aguilera's done it, Bjork's done it. I'm sure at some time in your career, you're going to want to do it. But then it also dawned on me that Girly probably already has someone that can handle the horn section stuff that's female and doesn't need me. So here I am the odd one out. If you'd like to check out any of the albums I produced this year, check out Glenn Meadmore, Out of the Blue, and Matthew's new album. You can see them here on the screen. And if you're interested in any of my music, there's a whole bunch of albums out there. You can find them anywhere, and I'd appreciate you listening. Thank you.